Welcome to the Clermont County Board of Commissioners meeting for March the 19th, 2025. We are one day away from the breakthrough of spring, so that's a really great thing. Prior to starting our meeting, we always ask local clergy to come and lead us in prayer. Today is a great day. David Tennant is here with us today. He's been here before. He's from the Owensville United Methodist Church. Thanks for being here, and the podium is yours.
My pleasure. Good morning. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are at that time of year again as we plan this excitement, the highs, the lows, the joys, the failures, all leading up to that crescendo to the big event. And I'm not talking about March Madness. I'm talking about spring and Easter. We are in the season of Lent, 40 days of which we are called to. You have called us to be the people that you created us to be. None of us, certainly including myself, maybe are the people we want to be, are called to be, who you created us to be. So in this month or so of Lent, we are called to look at ourselves and then take a look at you and make comparison and make changes. So again, in this season and crescendo leading up to the big event, which is Easter, where that big event where everyone wins. So Father, call us today to look at ourselves and pray that in whatever you're calling us to do, that we begin to look and sound more like you. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Corker, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. We will start off with our regular agenda with item A. We've called this meeting to order, and B, letter B, for approval of regular session minutes of 3/12/2025. Board, you've had these minutes, had an opportunity to review them. Are there any changes or revisions? Then I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of 3/12/2025.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Oh, second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, letter C, we have a proclamation today for spring severe weather. And I understand Pam Hovercloss is going to accept this on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you for being here, Pam.
Thank you.
Proclamation, Spring Severe Weather Awareness Week in Clermont County, March 16th through the 22nd, 2025. Whereas Clermont County residents face a yearly threat of spring storms that include severe thunderstorms, high winds, flooding, flash flooding, tornadoes, and whereas it is incumbent upon government at all levels to promote effective emergency preparedness and management practices that will better protect the lives and property of our citizens. Whereas the Ohio Committee for Severe Weather Awareness is committed to educating the public on the methods of preparedness, response to the natural hazards that affect Ohio. Whereas Ohio's news media and state local governments have the ability to work together to inform the public about severe weather safety, and whereas these joint educational campaigns have proven effective in educating the citizens of Ohio about the actions they can take to prepare for and respond to spring severe weather events. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed that we, the Board of Clermont County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of March 16th through the 22nd, 2025, as Spring Severe Weather Awareness Week in Clermont County. This is an honor and recognition of our citizens and the vital contributions they make to the safety and well-being of our community. It's signed by David L. Painter, President, Bonnie Batchelor, Vice President, and Clara Corcoran, Member. Pam, on behalf of the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, if you would please accept this proclamation.
Thank you very much.
The podium is yours.
Yeah, thank you. As was previously mentioned, tomorrow is the start of spring, but we've already seen the significant weather that we've had. As last weekend, we saw a sizable amount of rain, and across the country, they saw a sizable amount of devastation from tornadoes and severe storms. So it's important that we prepare. So as was mentioned, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week, and we face hazards such as severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, high wind events, and flooding. So we're really asking the public to take some time to prepare by getting informed about the different hazards that could affect us in our community and how we might get those emergency alerts and warnings. By creating a family emergency plan, knowing how you will communicate with your family members should you be separated, knowing where you might meet up, actually thinking through how you would handle the situation if your property is affected, and reviewing your insurance policy to make sure that you have adequate insurance, and then building an emergency supply kit. As we saw on the West Coast during the California wildfires, individuals had very limited amount of time to evacuate their homes. So making sure you know where all of these supplies are. You have a lot of them already in your home, so making sure that they're in a centralized location, you know how to access them. You can get more information on our website. It is http://ema.clermontcountyohio.gov. And we're always willing to come out and give presentations if the public or community group was interested in having a preparedness presentation. So again, I appreciate your time and thank you for the proclamation.
Thanks, ma'am. And would you take a picture with
Yeah,
us?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, hi.
Here, 3, 2, 1, and one more, 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Thanks, Pam.
Did you get out?
We will go back to our regular agenda. We will go to letter D as public participation. During this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in debate. No member of the public may comment about a matter that's not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board, but commissioners, you are more than welcome to comment. Each speaker will have the opportunity to speak once and be recognized by the board president before speaking. In accordance with the board's rules and procedures, your comments are limited to 5 minutes, and public participation is limited to 30 minutes in duration. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Mr. Hicks, please state your name and address for the record.
I think at this point you might be able to do it yourself. So it's Chris.
444 Woodwick Court,
Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you for the chance to speak. I think what we just saw, government giving certificates to the government, tying up government employees sitting in a meeting, it is an example of what DOJ could do in Clermont County. Get rid of that crap, okay? Get rid of wasteful crap. I'm going to give my second DOJ report. First, I want to come to the things I keep asking you guys. Are you willing to condemn anonymous hit jobs, lying in law enforcement interviews, and sex acts with subordinates during the workday in government? Anybody? So still no on that. I have another thing. Since somebody actually challenged me, since they won't sign that they agree with anything, that I should do one that's, I agree. What does it say? I support the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Where any of our commissioners sign a piece of paper that says they support the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This should be a fun one. Okay, nope. I don't waste my time. Nope. Let's see if he'll do it.
Wait a minute. You can
All right, I get my time, right?
yeah, you can get my picture. I support the Constitution.
Well, why don't you sign it then?
There it is.
Bonnie, you support the Second Amendment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hopefully you'll yield me some time for that. So
I will.
this is my, did you say you will or you won't?
I will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is my second DOJ report, and I'm looking forward to it. DOJ, the most credible DOJ, me, because I'm an outsider, I'm hard on government, you can count on me to go after it, is in the second report I'm giving on DOJ for Clermont County. I'm going to talk about the 4 big goals quickly and talk about one of them for more time than the others. The 4 goals are elected official accountability, radical transparency, respect for taxpayers, and number 4, real news for Clermont County. So I've asked our elected officials at the county level to provide every week what were their 5 accomplishments and how much time have they spent in the performance of their duties of office. None of them will do so far. I'm also working on radical transparency. Since they won't do so, I'm getting their emails so that I can prepare a report of what they actually did during the week, since they won't tell me. And I'm going to form a thing called WikiGov, which is going to be like a secure FTP server that's going to have tranches of government documents on it, including elected official emails and all records requests replied to by the county from any source or any person. The third thing, I've hit a couple things already. I want to talk about respect for the taxpayer. I already talked about the animal shelter last time I was here and about how they're spending 2.07 times more for the animal shelter of taxpayer dollars now than they did when it was under Humane Society control, and that they also have a 96% reduction in donations from fundraising since they took it. So they actually spend less on the animals now than they did when they had a Humane Society, because they gave up $1 million in fundraising to start the David Painter shelter. So there are ways like that. We could save $500,000 just on the shelter, and have better services and get cats back. But there's other ways that we can do things in Clermont County to become known as the leader in efficiency. One is the sales tax. So it's something these guys control. We currently have a 1% tax on there. We actually don't have that high of a sales tax relative to some other counties. But what if we took that down a quarter point, cut some spending, got efficient, and actually advertise we're the cheapest place to come buy stuff. Clermont County is the best place to come buy stuff. Another place they control is the plate fee. Remember this picture? This was when you guys approved the plate fee. You might not all have been here, but this was in 2018. That's Pat Monger. He's out of office now because he was corrupt. The county engineer had to leave office for corruption. That there's a $5 plate fee that's optional. They could take away the plate fee if we could get efficient and start bringing savings to the taxpayers. The other thing is there's a series of levies that are county related, like Children's Protective Services, Mental Health and Recovery Board, Senior Services, Library and Parks. We know there was embezzlement from Senior Services by Greg Carson. We should be all over all of these things and figuring out are they efficient. My understanding is that the Parks Department gets way more money than it needs. Their levy got passed and it's way more money than they need, and we should get something efficient. I want to talk about another way that we could address in Clermont County more spending efficiency. This is dog tag sales. I know it's hard to see it, but I'll put out a video where you can see this. We've gone from 19,000, almost 19,000 dog tag sales in 2014 to 12,681 in 2023, the last year that the records have been released for. That's a 33% reduction in dog tag sales. That alone is $117,000 a year. So those are, I just wanted to give some examples of how we can get a lot better in Clermont County if these guys would embrace spending efficiency, cutting unnecessary spending, and make sure we've optimized the programs. Real news is another thing. Recently, there's been two things. The clown Hilarious Scales arguing with the Batavia Village building, and a place called Signal 99 making fun of my big, beautiful nose and actually photoshopping it to make it bigger and more beautiful. I'm looking at getting it made bigger. You know, this is not real news. And in Clermont County, we're so bad that the Clermont Sun, their lead story the past week was written by the prosecutor. Their lead story was written by the prosecutor. So I think we can do a lot. Also, a fourth element is encourage that we get real news within Clermont County. So I hope you guys will embrace Doge to reduce taxes, and realize that Doge has to be outsider-based. It can't be insider-based. It has to be outsider-based and independent to be credible. All right, I appreciate you giving me a few more seconds. That's my second report. And every week I got to have the same thing. Let's have a show of hands. How many people think today I should be allowed to go film in the shelter? Nobody? Government employees, you're not allowed to? Okay. How about it today, Mr. Painter? Today, can I go film in the shelter in the spirit of radical transparency as a Republican that believes in that? Can I today go film in the shelter?
Have we permitted it before?
So just answer yes or no. Don't be a politician. Just answer yes or no.
No.
Yes? No. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for the time.
Anyone next? Deanna.
Deanna Smith, 4231 Edinburgh Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45245. Don't really want to follow that one up. I agree with some of the things he says. He went after Scales. Bad move. He's a social media influencer, not a news person. I'm going to defend him here.
He claims that he has real news from Clermont County on it.
And he does show up at some real news
That's it.
Don't interrupt me, please. I want to thank you guys and those that reached out to me about the house on Bethel New Richmond Road. I appreciate that. But this week has been, for this county and some of the townships, a dumpster fire because of this. I'm happy I had one in my pocket. I know you don't handle the townships and stuff, but the thing with the police dog, that was ridiculous. Bethel Tate, what's going on out there, that is ridiculous, and it's all over the dollar. And we need to do better. I do want to congratulate you guys on the new website. That's a much improved than using the rescues, whatever their page was. I'm sorry. I got flustered there. I need more time, but I'm not. I tell you that I come here, or I try to come here with solutions. And that's what I try to do. I don't have solutions for some of the things, the drugs. I don't have a lot of solutions for the animal shelter. I do have a granddaughter who has offered her time to come over and do photos and videos and things to update the website. She's a photojournalism student at OU. So if you would like her, Angie's not here, but I also think this side of the room that participated in attacking her owes her an apology. She came saying she didn't know anything about the animal shelter. She was being transparent, and she got attacked by the public for months. You guys placed her there, I'm assuming. And I know when I was in corporate America, if my boss came and said, hey, Dee, you're going to litigate lead-based paint. I don't know anything about lead-based paint, but I'll try. I'm not going to tell my boss no. So, Angie, if you watch this, I'm sorry on everybody's behalf that you were attacked when you were just trying to step up. David, you and I talked at one point, or wrote at one point about, I said, the shelter is woefully underfunded. And you said, no, it's adequate. And I've had to think on that for a couple months now, because it's like, man, we're not seeing eye to eye here. You may be right, because since I've been involved, it hasn't operated at full staff. We don't know that budget is or isn't good. It's too premature to do that. And so I'd like to revisit that at some point in the future, because if we're not able to fill the positions in corporate America, what happens, and the management plays with these numbers. They'll put a budget out, and at the end of the year, if that department doesn't use that budget, it goes back, and we always refer to it as a slush fund. It's not. It goes back in the kitty and is redistributed. So the longer, if it's like corporate, the longer the shelter goes unfunded or not fully staffed, then that at the end of the year, you're going back to zero and refunding. And that chunk of money that was set aside for the shelter in 2024 now is back in the general fund getting redistributed. And that's not right. It's not right. These positions should have been filled. We know who's applied for them, and whatever your reasons are for rejecting them, I don't know. Oh, this is going way quicker than I'm not getting where I need to be. The other thing is people that had to leave the shelter. I'm not going to hit them all, but there's Carrie Keller, Megan, Dashley, Emily. Those girls have gone out, those women have gone out with a bunch of others and done major things in a small span of time. Imagine if we got everybody on board and started working like they work at that shelter. We could get this turned around, because I'm tired of seeing Clermont County on the news for crappy things. It's almost like we enjoy bad press, like a toddler that throws temper tantrums because they're getting bad, or they're getting attention, whether it's bad or good. You don't see that kind of stuff from Brown County, and Hamilton County is its own nightmare. I missed everything because I got all off on that. I do think Hicks should be allowed to film at the shelter. I'm always going to defend him on that, but we disagree on a lot of other things.
We just for I'll give you a little time here. We'll talk about that just for a second.
Okay.
You know, we have a volunteer policy at the shelter. Volunteer policy gives specific requirements for filming at the shelter. You know, anyone is allowed to film in the public areas. They can film out front. They can film in play areas when they're visiting with an animal. The only part of that shelter that isn't allowed to be filmed in is the very back. And the very back has dogs that are there for cases. And it also includes inmates that work at the jail. And so those are not going to be allowed to be filmed. So when I say you can't film at the jail, I mean at the dog shelter, that really doesn't mean everywhere. That means all the places that people get to actually interface with the dogs, they can't film. So not a problem.
I think to his point, though, the news media, and I think he would count himself as news media journalist, does get access that he doesn't get without going through the volunteer program. I'm not going to change your minds on that.
You aren't.
But I know that. But I'm still going to stand here and defend him on that. I'm going to defend you guys on, I wouldn't sign any of the papers, no matter what they say that he sends around. I just wouldn't do that. So we're going to be at an impasse.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Tell us who you are and where you live.
Hello, my name's Jen Mazzucchelli, Mazzuckelli. I live in Union Township. Several weeks ago, I came before here and I was talking about how 50% of the residents in Clermont County are cost burdened, and that Clermont County has one of the highest eviction rates in the state. And I don't believe that a statistic has changed. What's changing rapidly and unpredictably is the economy. We've got Social Security is on the chopping block. Doge, speaking of which, oh, he left. Doge is determined that people who rely on Social Security in any form are parasites, and they just the money needs to go. Medicaid is on the chopping block. SNAP is on the chopping block. The USDA is like 50% of the workforce has been cut. Funds have been frozen, and farmers are the financing that they may need to get this has been widely reported, that they need to get their equipment or their crops going is either delayed or impeded, and it's affecting their ability to keep their farm and get their crops going. So in light of, and on top of all of that, we've got looming unpredictable trade wars with basically, I guess, everybody. And the people who, this is a weird thing to bet on, but the people who bet on whether or not we're heading into a recession keep upping the likelihood. So we could be facing a recession. My point for all of this is, if we were already cost burdened, people are concerned, not just myself, but people who rely on Social Security are concerned. People who receive SNAP benefits, veterans benefits, all of those things are concerned. What's going to happen when the rug is pulled out from under our feet? There was a high-level official in the Social Security Administration that said between the staff cuts and whatever the Doge employees did to the system, payments are not guaranteed. They're not guaranteed. And this was a month ago when he said it, in the next 30 to 90 days. There's been reports of people being reported dead, even though they're alive, and their benefits cut. So, and meanwhile, locations are being shuttered. So it's going to be more difficult and more difficult. What is the county's plan? I am asking again that the county commissioners have a town hall so you can get the concerns of the community in the face of everything that's going on and find out what their concerns are. And if you don't already have a plan, work with them to develop a plan, because we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan because, like I said last week, there is no homeless shelter. there's no affordable housing. And also I saw, Mr. Painter, a picture of your memories where you were at I'm assuming it's when he announced his candidacy with Bernie Moreno. I mean, you have ties to all of our elected officials who are currently not doing town halls. People are interested in having a town hall with their elected representatives in Washington. Perhaps you can relay that concern as well. They just want to be able to talk to the people who represent them, and it's what we want before everything burns down. And in times like these, people should be able to rely on their elected officials, regardless of the level of governance, to be able to reassure them and say, you know what? I realize these are uncertain times. This is our plan, and this is how we will weather this storm together. I mean, the emergencies that are coming are not just natural disasters. We don't just have to prepare for tornadoes and floods and strong winds and tree fallings and trees denting your roof. I mean, we're in a constitutional crisis. And we're facing the fact that this country is no longer a democracy, and people are angry and they are afraid. And they cannot talk to their elected leaders, and their elected leaders will not have a conversation with them. Engaged. That's all. Thanks.
Well, hey, before you leave, I just want to ask a question. Just,
Yes.
just for that. Obviously, you're very well in tune with the benefits that are provided by the county. I just want to ask you. I mean, you have come in many times and talked about that. Have you lost any benefits that you had been obtained before?
Have I lost it in the past?
No, I'm talking about right now.
Right now? No.
Okay.
No, not
And-
yet. But I will tell you
Oh,
this.
Okay.
Okay.
Give me a chance. Give me a
If
chance.
that happens,
Mhm.
I will be homeless and my son will be homeless, because the people who say start saving, how do you do that? And I'm not the only one. I'm not just speaking on my own behalf. I am speaking on the behalf of other people who are afraid that they can't sleep at night because they don't know what's going to happen. And it's the uncertainty.
And talk about that a second. Many of the costs that you're talking about and the programs are federal programs. I mean, you understand that we don't administer federal programs here.
Yes, I do.
We get the funds through our agencies, and then our agencies administer them, but they do that per federal guidelines.
I
you know,
understand that, but
okay.
you understand that when I, as a resident of the county, lose my benefits, I have no home in your county and no place to stay. And my son, who attends school in your county, will become a homeless student in your county. And when SNAP benefits go away, the farm to table programs, they want to cut that in this reconciliation bill. That affects farmers in your county. Might be federally funded, but it goes through the state, because on top of all the stuff they want to cut at the federal government, DeWine wants to cut as well. And that state, you can say, hey, but that's state, it's not county. But it comes to the county and it affects people in the county.
I get it. I get it. But you're taking a brush approach. I mean, you have to agree that some of the Social Security issues are a problem. People getting paid Social Security that are 136 years old on the doles have got to come off. You know that Social Security is on the path to bankruptcy.
Okay, let's just stop speaking about what I know, because we operate on different set of
You
facts.
brought that up.
Well, I'm not talking about Social Security and making you responsible for Social Security. What I am saying is these are the things that are happening. They are happening. They are going to happen in short order within the next 6 months.
Jen,
But it's going to affect people in the
you
county
and I are on an opposite
on
page.
county issues.
We are on an opposite page.
It's going to affect people, regardless of your opinion on the politics. It's going to affect residents of the county.
Mhm.
Because if they lose their benefits because of some of the misinformation that you've been fed,
You don't know if anybody that's lost any benefits.
not yet.
Okay.
30 to 90 days. Well, guess what? Next month is 30 days.
Thank you.
They will
Anyone
have
else?
housing here. So you need a. plan
Anyone
for the
else?
people here.
Jen, you've lost no benefits. Anyone else? Thank you. We'll move on from public participation. We will move to letter E, the consent agenda. Board, you had a consent agenda sent to you early, had an opportunity to review it. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further conversation?
None.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Letter F. Letter F is the non-consent agenda. It starts on page 4 with item number 8. Item number 8 is a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 025-25 to approve payment to vendors in the amount total of $2,569,636.46 as outlined in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated March 19th, 2025, BCC directed prepaid invoice reports, and the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 3/17/2025, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants pursuant to and in compliance with section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Board, do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 9. Lyle, morning.
Item 9 is a recommendation to authorize the county administrator, the assistant county administrator, or the assistant county administrator for procurement to approve the master services agreement for the terms and conditions specified in the agreement and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. And this is for Doug J. Davis doing business as Clearview Window Cleaning out of Amelia. And this would be for interior and exterior window and screen cleaning services. We plan to use them at our administration building. Windows are really dirty.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 9. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Item number 10. Thanks, Lyle.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Item 10 is a recommendation to amend Appendix 4.09 of the Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual with respect to the county's classification plan. This is to add 2 new job titles, the first being a veterinarian technician supervisor, class number 79915, pay range 16, and a volunteer coordinator, class number 79943, pay range 12, and to authorize the update of the internet links and appendices.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 10 for 2 additions at the shelter. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 11.
Item 11 is a recommendation to adopt a revised table of organization for the Clermont County Kennel as outlined below and in Exhibit A, effective upon approval, and to authorize the update of appropriate internet links and dependencies accordingly. Those changes are to change the vacant deputy dog warden position from full-time to part-time, to abolish 2 part-time kennel attendants and 1 part-time kennel receptionist, reclassify the veterinary technician to a veterinary technician supervisor, and to add the volunteer coordinator.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 11 for some reclassifications at the animal shelter. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Item 12 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 026-25, amending resolution number 082-24 for the Clermont County Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2024 annual action plan to modify projects, and authorizing the Department of Community and Economic Development to submit the amended annual Action Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. To designate funding for the referenced projects below using the CDBG funds for fiscal year 2024 previously awarded on 7/10/2024 as outlined below. The first item is to reduce the Clermont County General Health District allocation for Newtonsville Sewer Connection Program from $100,000 to zero. The Health Department actually used previous year's funding that you allocated to them, and they did connect all the residents that qualified. Their pricing came in a bit lower, so they contacted us, and they will actually not need those funds. Second item is to award funds to Clermont County Port Authority for the Grant Museum statue. This is for the President Grant statue that commemorates his ties to Clermont County. It will be placed in Bethel at the Grant Museum building. This would fully fund the project. Other project sources of funding, it was funded from the 2022 capital bill. It was funded from Duke Energy grant, and there's some funding from the Port Authority. And the last item is to fund Clermont County Convention and Visitors Bureau for the Clermont County Historic Arts Mural Trail. This is to coincide with our country's birthday next year, 250 years, America 250. So they would be placing 7 murals throughout the county. This would fund 3 of the murals in 3 of our LMI areas. So this specific funding would fund a mural in the village of Williamsburg, village of Bethel, and the city of Milford. Those were the 3 areas that qualified for CDBG funding out of the 7 that they're doing. So that would be a $53,000 contribution in CDBG funds for those 3 murals. And other sources of funding for the murals come from each of the local jurisdictions, again from Duke Energy, from Connect Clermont, and from the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Thank you, Board. You've heard the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? We'll just we talked about Newtonsville Sewer Connect. I mean, it's ironic that we have Lyle in here today. It was. And not that he's not here all the time, because he is. But I just wanted to ask why you were here. What is the connection to that new sewer treatment plant? Where are we at? Okay. And so are we running, I mean, is it fair to say we're running at 50% capacity, or are we still under that? Okay. 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 So great job on that. And then the Grant Museum, that's fantastic. I think I heard you say this will fund that and make it move forward. Thanks, Commissioner Corcoran. That's a great addition here.
I should have mentioned, Commissioner, by funding it now and getting the process started, it would actually be dedicated in time for Grant's birthday next year, I think the end of April. So that works out good.
And then not to mention the America 250 project, but just keep in mind that kicks off here real soon. April 18th is that date. There are lots of other things scheduled throughout the summer for that too. So, obviously April 18th is a day that not many people remember. It's the day that Paul Revere rode in 1775. So that's the big kickoff. So with that, I would ask for a roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13.
Good morning again. Pam
Morning.
Evercost with the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency. Item number 13 is a recommendation to acknowledge the execution and submittal of the grant agreement number FY24 EMPG-13 for funding through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency for the federal fiscal year 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant Program approved in the amount of $81,289 with a required local match of $81,289 to be provided by the general fund for a total program budget amount of $162,578 for the operation of the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency effective for the performance period of October 1st of 2023 through December 31st of 2025 pursuant to the terms and conditions and in compliance with the federal fiscal year 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant Guidance.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation?
Just thank you, Pam, for getting everybody together and making sure everybody knows their places. Unfortunately, if something happens, but at least you've got everybody ready to go. Thank you for your coordination.
And Pam, not to hold you here, but one of the things I wanted to make sure that you knew that the village administrator at New Richmond said thank you so much, not only to you, but to your staff for the excellent service that they got over that recent fire down on Susanna Way and the displaced people that were there. She was absolutely just said everything that she could about how well that went.
Great, thank
So
you.
thank you. Hearing nothing else, roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 14. Thank you, Pam.
Morning.
Morning.
Recommendation to authorize Thomas Igo, Clermont County Administrator, to add the following role: Lisa Workman, Program Manager 1, as a developer, submitter, recipient user, reporter, and grantee to the Federal Transit Administration TRAMS Transit Assets Management System.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Been moved and second. Anything further?
No.
Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Abstain. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks.
Item number 15.
Item 15 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 027-25 to determine to make improvements for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Bethel Lift Station EQ Facility Project located in Tate Township and designated as project number 6402-60198 in conformance with the detailed plan, specifications, and estimate of cost and financing, and approve the request to advertise for bids pursuant to the plans and specs, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on Thursday, April 10th, 2025 at 1:00 p.m. with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, April 24th, 2025 here in the Office of Board of County Commissioners, where they will be opened. They will be publicly open and read aloud, and the notice will also be posted on the county's website under legal notices. So this will, the majority of the project costs will be for the construction of a 1.5 million gallon equalization tank. Currently, that lift station serves all of the Bethel area, and then it pumps 7 miles west to Mount Holly Road, where it hits gravity sewer and flows to our Middle East Work Treatment Plant, which is down here on Haskell Lane. During heavy rain events, it bypasses. We have sanitary sewer overflows there, which eventually make their way into Harsha Lake. So this will help significantly reduce the amount of overflows and the volume of bypass that would enter the lake. It's also kind of something that EPA has directed us to do something to fix that problem. So,
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item 16.
Item 16 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 028-25 to determine to make improvements for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Branch Hill Miamiville Road Water Main Replacement Project. This will go from Booster 1 to Branch Hill Guinea Road, located in Miami Township, and designated as project number 6401-60232 in conformance with the detailed plan, specs, estimates of cost and financing, and approve the request to advertise for bids pursuant to the plans and specs, and authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 10 a.m. with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Here in the Office of the Board of County Commissioners, they will be publicly open and read aloud, and the notice will also be posted on the county's website under legal notices. So this will involve the replacement of just over 6,000 feet of 10-inch water main that was installed in 1959. We'll be replacing that with 12-inch water main. Again, it goes from our Booster One pump station, which is just inside the 275 loop on Branch Hill, Miamiville, and extend all the way up to Branch Hill, Guinea.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, item 17.
Item 17 is a recommendation to award the bid and execute the contract for project number 6402-60213 for the abandoned trunk sewer relocation project located in Goshen Township pursuant to the plans and specs to KT Holden Construction LLC out of Lebanon, Ohio, for the lowest and best bid received on January 23rd, 2025, for a total amount not to exceed $326,680 in compliance with the terms and conditions of the contract and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. And that bid was about 61% below our engineer's estimate, or 61% of our engineer's
Of it.
estimate.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 17. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 18. Thank you, Lyle.
Thank you, Lyle.
Item 18 is a recommendation to reappoint Janet Sullivan of Old Boston Road, Batavia, Ohio, to serve on the Clermont County Planning Commission, effective 3/31/2025 through 3/30/2028, pursuant to and in compliance with Section 3375.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 18 for the reappointment of Janet Sullivan. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Ralph, any additions to the agenda?
No, there is none, Mr. President.
Okay. Then we will move to letter H. I'm requesting an executive session in accordance with section 121.22 G1, G2, G3, and G4 of the Ohio Revised Code. First, to consider the compensation of a public employee. Second, to consider the sale of property at competitive bidding or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with section 505.10 of the Ohio Revised Code if premature disclosure of the information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest. Third, to confer with the attorney for the board concerning disputes involving the board that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. And fourth, for preparing or for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. I've requested an executive session. Do we have a motion to go in?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, we will move to executive session. We will return and conduct further business. Thank you. We have returned from executive session. There were no decisions made and no actions taken. We will move on with our regular agenda. Letter I is county staff elected official discussions. Pam Hovercost, our Director of Clermont County Emergency Management, is here today to update us on a hazardous mitigation plan. Pam, podium's yours.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Pam Haverkos. I'm the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency Director.
Thank you.
So thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you. So I want to talk to you about our hazard mitigation plan update. So why are we required to do a mitigation plan? So we're actually required by 44 Code of Federal Regulations Part 201 and the Robert T. Stafford Acts to have a mitigation plan. Every 5 years, the mitigation plan has to be updated. The purpose of the plan is to protect lives and property through the identification of hazards that could affect us and the development of mitigation strategies. And the carrot is that it makes us eligible for disaster mitigation grant programs that become available. Again, it is the starting point for how we do emergency management as a whole, because it helps us, one, do a threat and hazard identification, identify what risk could affect the community, and then work with the individual local communities on what can we do to reduce or eliminate risk, and then whatever we can't reduce or eliminate, we plan for. So that drives into our emergency operations plan and other plans that we develop so that we can respond to and recover from events successfully. So what the process includes a couple of different things. One, we want public participation, and I'll talk about how we're going to get that public participation. We have to identify the existing conditions, all the demographics of our communities, and we look at all of the major disaster declarations that we've had and disaster events. What's the financial impact? What's the societal impact? And trying to assess what it might look like in the future and what that cost might be in the future. And the other main component of the existing plan is a review of the mitigation actions from our previous plan that was adopted in 2020. So on the backside of your of the document that I gave you, it does tell you how we prioritize hazards in 2020, and also an overview of the mitigation strategies that we identified. This is not in total. So we did have individual communities come up with specific targeted mitigation actions. And so this is just an overview of what is included in those hazards. So to give you a timeline, so our last mitigation plan was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners in April of 2020. We submitted it to FEMA, or Ohio EMA, who also then submitted it to FEMA for approval. We actually got approval of our plan by FEMA on June 15th. So our existing plan is valid until June 14th of 2025. Now, even though during this planning process, we may not have an approved plan by June 14th of 2025, because we're in the process, it doesn't inhibit any jurisdiction from applying for those mitigation grant dollars. We started applying for federal grant dollars through the Building Resilient and Infrastructure and Communities Grant back in 2023 to start this process. But as you know, we've had some delays in the rollout of those grant programs and the approval process of those grant programs. So we actually didn't get our grant agreement until November 8th of 2024. So since November 28th, we have put out an RFP to get a contractor to come on board to help us write the plan and do all of the background analysis. On January 9th, we got the contract signed for JH Consulting. So they're our consultant company that was facilitating the meetings. We scheduled our first kickoff meeting on March 5th. So we invited upwards of 175 different individuals and agencies to participate in the planning process. We ended up having 45 attendees and over 30 different local, state, and county level officials or agencies attend. So that's tremendous. So between the March 5th and our next meeting, we're going to be going through a data collection process. And in that, we'll be sending out a series of surveys to gather that information from all of the townships, villages, cities, county agencies, anybody that has some role in mitigation, as well as the general public. So we'll have a survey that goes out. We're also going to be working on capturing all the critical infrastructure throughout the county. And there's a slew of different categories. So we'll be working with the individual communities to identify what's really vital or important to them, as well as what's vital and important to the county, what's vital and important to the state within Clermont County, and what's vital on the national level. We want to make sure that we're capturing. And then we'll be looking at how vulnerable are those infrastructure should we have a severe weather or other event. We are anticipating in June holding another public meeting, and in that session, we'll be looking at identifying new mitigation strategies. So in between now and June, we'll also be reaching out to all the local communities to look at the existing mitigation actions and seeing how do we fare? Did we accomplish those mitigation actions? Did we not accomplish them? What were the challenges that we faced? Why did they not get addressed? And do we need to continue and move them into the next plan as well? Or have they been completed? And we'll note that for FEMA. And then in June to August, we'll be working again on that data analysis, data collection, plan update, so that in September, hopefully we can have a draft hazard mitigation plan for to distribute. And then we'll have a 30-day comment period. And we will, again, be sharing it broadly to get public feedback, as well as from all of the public safety partners on the plan. We do know we will be posting a draft plan at all 10 library branches with both an electronic survey opportunity, whether it be a QR code or a survey link, as well as a paper ballot system that people that come into the library can drop that into the ballot box. The intent then would be to have a finalized draft of the plan in October, with it going to FEMA and Ohio EMA for review. And depending on how long it takes for them to approve it, hopefully we would have a final draft ready for submission to the Board of County Commissioners in November or early December. And then once it gets approved by the first jurisdiction, we send it to FEMA for approval. And then that would start the 5-year clock. We would also have a 1-year clock then to send it out to all of the cities and villages would have to sign off and approve it if they want to be part of the plan. They have 1 year to do that. So we'd be sending out what that promulgation document should look like. Townships technically are covered once the Board of County Commissioners adopt it. But we do have a few enhanced townships, and they have to approve it separately. So those enhanced townships would be required to approve it. We work with all the townships and encourage them to approve it so that they have a buy-in. So moving forward, what is it that we will be asking of all of our partners, including the public, is that as we release the hazard prioritization and risk survey, is that we try to distribute that as widely as possible to all of our residents, individuals that work in Clermont County, businesses that are here in Clermont County, and our faith-based nonprofit partners. Will be trying to distribute it widely so that we can get a good cross-section of our public to complete the survey. And then we'll be working with the local communities on the critical infrastructure survey. We will also, as I said, be looking at the 2020 mitigation strategies and asking whoever the lead agency was that submitted those actions to give us feedback on where we're at. And then we'll be working on trying to identify new strategies so that we can work towards reducing or eliminate that risk. So as we move forward in this process, we will be posting all of this information on our EMA website, and the link is ema.clermontcountyohio.gov/mitigation-plan. And you'll be able to see when our future meetings are. Notes from meetings will be posted there, all the surveys. I'll even be posting probably this document so that it's a good overview. If anyone wants to talk to a group, they can just print this out. And then once the plan is drafted, again, trying to get people to read the plan. It is sometimes not the most engaging and exciting plan. I get it. But it truly does help drive how we focus our time and attention on developing plans to respond and recover. And again, we have a general idea, and anecdotally we could say these things are happening. This is a way to document that this is truly how what we should be preparing for in the future. So again, I really appreciate your time and effort and your attendance and participation in all of our meetings. And again, if you have anybody that has additional questions, they can always contact me and talk through the process.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I will continue to keep you updated as we move forward in the process, and definitely come back and present when we have a draft plan for everyone to review, as well as we'll be reaching out to the Township Trustees Association and the Mayor's Council group to see if we can get on their agendas to present so that they're well aware of what we're asking for.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you. Next, for county elected official discussions, Gary Cadell, Clermont County Safety Director, introduction to safety champions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
My name's Gary Caudell, Safety Coordinator here at Clermont County. First off, I want to thank the Commissioners and the County Administrators for supporting our safety program. We've come a long way, I believe, since the 2019 year when I started. So I'd say it's all been good, some bad, but what we like to do every quarter for the last 3 years, we've elected a safety champion. We used to put it in the newspaper and put an article on them and just let everybody know that we have special people that are very concerned about Clermont County safety. Mr. Eigel and Mr. Lenny come up with the idea of my last coordinator meeting to maybe bring them in front of the Board of County Commissioners for recognition. So with that, we have, and I'd like to do the last quarter of 2024, which was Miss Angie Livesay. She was our fourth quarter 2024. And next slide, please. There you go. If I could read, Angie, Deputy Assistant County Administrator. Angie's positive attitude is a powerful catalyst within our safety team. Regardless of the challenges we face, Angie approaches each day with enthusiasm and a smile. Your optimism is contagious. Thank you for bringing your positive energy and bright spirit to our safety team, making it a safer place to work. Angie and her animal shelter staff work diligently every day to prevent accidents or injuries and to protect our animals. That statement was by me. Safety meetings are also performed weekly down there with the dog wardens, with the kennel staff, with the kennel supervisors, and safety of that week is always approached very positively. Angie's commitment to workplace safety gets us closer to a perfect safety record every day. So, Miss Angie.
Thanks, Angie.
Hey, Angie.
Thanks.
Yay, Angie.
Our first quarter 2025, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jake Baker. Jake works for facilities. Jake has been pretty important to us. I used to walk on the inspections he does at all the courthouses and all that because I didn't have permission to go in. But so Jake has been proactive in keeping the fire extinguishers up to date on checks and balances, getting the fire alarm inspection companies in for inspections. He continuously monitors our buildings for safety concerns and addresses them as necessary. Jake has an OSHA 30. I am an outreach trainer, so an OSHA 30 is pretty equal to a supervisor training, which is the highest you can go with that category, and uses those practice when necessary. Jake takes charge of fixing and replacing items that could cause safety risk, whether it be life or building. Thank you for consideration of Jake for safety champion, and that was written by his supervisor, Mr. Chris Turner. I would like to say Jake has proven to be instrumental in helping our safety department with various safety concerns around Clermont County, and Jake is definitely an improvement to our safety program. So, Mr. Jake Baker.
Either one of you have any words you'd like to say from the podium?
How about a picture?
Yeah, let's take a picture.
Yes.
Come on.
Come on, get in here.
Yeah, get in the middle.
I can't say
Get in there. You're the ones that helped do it. You got to get in there close to like a family.
Okay.
All right. Like you like your hands.
Look right here, and we'll go in 3, 2, 1.
No.
One more.
Uh-huh.
3, 2, 1.
Got it. I've never felt short.
Okay, you can breathe now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, I won't.
Okay.
And just before we let you go, I mean, there's lots of exciting things here that go on. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, we'd love to have you. But I just wanted to say thanks. You know, people don't realize how important safety is, you know, and they don't understand that when you have a workforce like we do here of some 1,300 people, you know, all of the types of accidents that can happen that are just, you know, haphazard, that a little planning could have eliminated, or a little attention to detail, or maybe that old adage called walk your space. So, you know, I ask people all the time when we have new employee orientation, what is the most common, you know, injury that happens here at Clermont County? And it's always funny that, you know, it always comes back to slip, trips, and falls. It's not where people are planning for the high hazard stuff like confined space or those types of activities. It's always just the stuff that you just, you know, don't have the detail, you know. So Jake, thanks for what you do. And Angie, one of the things I wanted to say before you get to sneak out of here or anything is that hey, thanks for your dedication to the animal shelter. You know, there's been a lot of talk here at this podium about, you know, you not knowing how to run a dog shelter, you know. And what I wanted to say was this: what no one ever relies on is the fact that you knew the procurement system here at Clermont County. You know all the paperwork it takes. You know how to order supplies, and you know how to schedule. And people don't realize that those are two totally different facets when you're involved in an animal shelter. There's people that have lots of experience dealing with animals, and then there's people that have experience in administration, but they don't have both. And what I wanted to say is that now that you've been there, how many months? You have both. You know, I would take you anytime to run that shelter. So thanks what you do. It's in very good shape, and I know I'm very satisfied with the quality there. So thanks. You bet. We will move on with our regular agenda here. Gail, I understand you have an item.
I have an item. I have an item that was brought to me from Mr. Eigel. He received a message about, this is from Leanne Watson, Executive Director of the Mental Health and Recovery Board, and she is restarting the planning committee meetings for the Crisis Stabilization Receiving Center. And she's trying to keep those meetings smaller this time so she can focus on operations only. And she is asking, would the commissioners or possibly Ralph Linney want to be involved with the meetings and working on finalizing the operations plan. So we'd like you to think about that and get back to me on who you would think would be good for that.
And when we're talking about this crisis planning, we're talking about the new crisis center that's going to be built over in the, is that Adams Board building?
I think so. Is it?
I believe so, isn't it?
I'm not really sure.
And just to kind of put that in perspective, that that really is made possible as part of the One Ohio
yes
opiate settlement.
Yes. Yes.
So one of the things that when they did the critical pass of where we are at in managing that particular crisis or substance use disorder, one of the things that was kind of the last step that we've missed is we don't have a crisis center. We don't have a place where someone who is impacted by mental health or substance use disorder can actually be brought to when they are in crisis or their family is in crisis. You know, many times what happens is they end up over at our jail facility and their first touch of people is our sheriff's department. And that's not the place for them to be. So, you know, this is a triage location so that they can obviously get better care and then be moved into where they need the next step to help. So I think that's a
and
great
this is
tip.
about the operations. So I'm thinking maybe Ralph is your guy on that one.
Could be. Could be.
One other thing I have to add, and we've kind of batted this around. We have a policy and procedure for the Board of County Commissioner meetings. And that has not been changed in some time. So I would like to give the board a copy of that policy and procedure. And if you want to consider making any changes, you can do so. And we'll talk about it in the meetings to come. But I will be giving you a copy of that so you can look it over.
Okay.
And
would it be fair to say that the commissioners can take a look at that, red line it up, get it back and
absolutely
incorporate it into something that can be reviewed here at the dais and then approved?
Yes, that's exactly what my thought is to do with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Any add-ons before we move forward?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Then I will move on to letter J as member comments. Board members, any comments today about the meeting or anything you want to discuss or update on? Had a lot of things we've talked about, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did.
Well, hearing none, I will go to letter K, which is to ask for a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn. Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran? Commissioner Painter?
Yes, thank you. That concludes our meeting today for March 19th, 2025. If you were joined us on the web or you were here in attendance, thanks for coming today. We always value your opinions and your suggestions. So we will see you next week. Thank you.